Hi,
How you
Assam.
doing? Loving the masks.
Hey. All right. क्या हाल है भाई?
Very nice, very good. It's like you're fishing for masks in the tribal.
They're not all mine. It's this one and that one is ours. The rest are Nari's brothers.
Ah, cool.
Nice.
Very nice. Interesting. My dad collects masks as well. My mom doesn't allow them in the house. They usually stay in his room. Very nice. Very
I
nice.
have to say, though, it really does look like you're in some quarantine zone. The masks and the plants and everything around you. It's like a little
There you
island.
go. ऐसा ही है. I wish it was like I was in the Maldives or somewhere in
It looks like
quarantine.
fun, man.
You made your own little Maldives over there.
All
Yeah.
you did is that little paddle pool thing in next to your sofa, and then
Borrow one from your kid.
Probably.
good stuff. Also, since this is BBQ, which stands for Big Banter Question, we have a barbecue set here as well. So,
Right.
we don't have
That's what it is.
we don't have
So from here.
we don't have actual meat here right now, but we thought it's just iftar time. We just
I guess I'm the meat.
yeah, you
You're
are
grilling.
You
you
can
are
be
the meat.
grilled.
Tribal meat. Otherwise, me and you both would be just like, oh wow.
So that's what it is. I thought it was a fax machine or like a printer machine.
They made it like
Type.
a fax machine, so it takes us back into time. So
Oh, nice. Nice. I like it.
So we're joined here today by our good friend Assam Khalid. It's hard for me to say Assam Khalid because I've known you by the name of Rex for the longest of times. Assam Khalid is the Executive Creative Director and Chief
Strategy officer.
That's a mouthful.
And head of strategy.
Sorry,
Head of
strategy. Yes.
At Ogilvy, and also Assam has worked with renowned agencies and brands all over the world. So Assam, today we will grill you on certain
All
topics.
right.
Yeah, are you ready?
We won't actually grill you.
Absolutely. I'm
We're just
excited.
going to ask the big banter questions of what's
All right.
going on in the advertising world.
Sure thing.
So Assam, coming from the advertising world, how do you feel right now in advertising post COVID-19? How are brands dealing with the COVID-19 scenario, and how has it changed branding and advertising as of today, the world that we're in right now?
So I think it's drastically changed the way advertising is happening post COVID-19, and it's become far more challenging as well. So even in terms of brands now have to find a purpose because consumers are also, the way they're thinking and buying and their purchase behavior has completely changed post COVID-19, and they've moved to buying things which are necessary, and the unnecessary things that they feel are unnecessary sort of take a backseat.
Absolutely.
And brands also are struggling to find that purpose and find that connect with consumers in such a situation. Those brands that are agile enough to sort of make that transition and find their purpose within that are probably doing well. Those that haven't are struggling. Even in terms of advertising agencies and the way even the way we do our advertising has sort of changed, that it's far more challenging to even do a shoot, for example, because you can't go out, there's a lockdown, you can't really shoot that way. So agencies are also pushed to the limit in terms of their creativity. Now that's also a challenge, not only in terms of paper where you're creating a concept, but now you also have to think that I'm limited by what I can shoot. So what do? How can you sort of now create the creative content that you're used to creating, but you have to be agile enough to be able to do that. And agencies that are agile enough to do that can tackle it.
So what do you think can be done by the agencies to strengthen the relationship with their existing customers and possibly even the new ones?
So do you mean the agencies or the brands?
Well, both of them actually, the agencies as well as the brands. So the agencies with the brands and then the brands with their customers,
Correct.
the general public.
Okay. So I think back in 2015, I attended the Cannes Lion event, and Pharrell Williams was speaking there, and he said one thing that really struck a chord. He said that irrespective of what you do or art form you do or what you create, people can always see the intent behind it.
True.
So if you're, and he was talking in reference to music, that if you know you're making music that is intended to make you money, you can hear it in the music, you can see it in the music,
Yeah.
versus somebody who's, you know, somebody who bore their soul into a song, you can see the intent very crystal clear.
Absolutely.
And I think it translates into advertising as well, and in terms of branding as well, that
True.
people can see the intent behind what you're trying to do, and they can call bullshit very quickly as well.
Yeah.
So it's in a time like COVID-19, brands sort of who find that purpose and their intent is pure. There are brands, especially brands that I'm working with, whose first question when COVID-19 hit was not how I can make money. Their first question was, how can we help? What can we do to help customers?
Absolutely.
And we've seen that around the world as well. And brands who have been managed to do that, answer the question of, this is what we do, how can we help? There's the ones that are succeeding and being loved right now, because it's a time where everyone has to step up, not just individually, but brands also have to step up and take a stand and do something. We all have to play our part.
Absolutely.
And it's something that agencies also need to feed into their clients and work with them, that, you know what can we do to help? And also bring those ideas to the table, that this is what we can do to help. You're a brand that stands for this. This is what we can do to help. And we have to find those kind of solutions.
I guess you've answered my next question as well. What would the priorities be? So that those are pretty much the priorities.
But I still have a question of what you said, that agencies and brands have to take this into account now. How do you find the right tone for this? Because now the advertising tone has to change, as you pointed out as well. How do you find the right tone?
So I think it's back to that same answer of intent.
Yeah.
Once that intent is clear, your tone automatically reflects that. If you are intending one thing and pretending to do another thing, or then it will show, then you'll never find that right tone. So it's about, I feel that brands who have found that true purpose and intent in trying to help are not only engaging with customers, they're actually helping, but it's actually created business for them as well. So that's the way it's sort of working. And we see brands who are lending to that purpose are the ones that are doing well.
It reminds me of a very old saying, actions are judged by intentions. So intent has really become the driving factor behind overall communication between relationships between individuals, brands, agencies, the public. Very interesting. And it's the key driving force now as well.
Absolutely. I think you put it so well, that it's the key driving force, and it's all about that intent.
Very true.
So where do we go from here now? Because everything's going to change in the tone and the intent of advertising. What do you foresee for the future of advertising? Is it going to go completely digital? Are we going to see a complete revolution of advertising? Where do you see us going from here?
So I think there is a revolution in play, but I think everyone's sort of finding their footings. And as a situation is literally changing every day, there's something new. There's a lockdown, now there isn't a lockdown, now we're back into lockdown. You have an ease in the lockdown. So every day is a new day and a new challenge. And it comes back to the agility. And I think it's just adapting with whatever the situation is. And just as an example, we know that initially when the lockdown was in place, you couldn't do any shoots. We saw a lot of brands shifting towards animated content, creating a lot more animated content. So your branding sort of, your advertising took a shift that way.
Yeah.
Now we're also seeing, you'll see there's a lot more usage of stock footages in trying to create that, the film or that content that you're creating, or reaching out digitally using influencers more. So there will be a shift happening, but it's a shift that happens every day. And I think it's one that you keep learning with. But to say that it'll go completely digital, it might be the case in some countries, but for Pakistan, we've seen that the numbers for television viewership has gone up drastically because people are just stuck at home. They don't have much to do. It's one of the entertainment thing, turn on your television set. So we've seen that viewership has gone up in terms of media, in terms of television. So you can't say that it'll just change to digital media.
Right.
There's a lot more digital media being consumed as well. There's just a lot more content being consumed overall, since everyone's at home, they're bored, they have to find something to do. So it's about that evolution. As things are changing, you have to be agile enough in your advertising and the way you're communicating that you're able to connect again and be relevant.
You've nailed it on the head about the intent, because people are looking for a lot more since they've taken a step back from the rat race, the hustle bustle of life. They've had to kind of reevaluate what their priorities are. Just simple things as spending time with their families, with their parents and kids. I believe that's really reprioritize what's important for the general public, especially for the bread earners and the breadwinners. They've had to reevaluate what's important to them. And thus the meaning and the intent has become very important. It's come in the forefront that people want to go with brands or want to consume material that's intended to create I think something to do with being positive, or something that's doing something positive within their individual circles or their community circles, or creating a general positive feel, be it through music, as you said earlier, or through podcasts, or through just general activities, or just the act of giving. As we've been,
sense of bonding as well. I think communities coming together in these times, even with social distancing, how people are still coming together through different acts. I think
religious communities as well have come together and bonded.
All kinds of communities, and I think that's what's being reflected in brands. More empathy for each other, understanding. Support,
a huge amount of racial divide has been gapped, and it's been bridged basically. Communities coming together and understanding that they need help. Younger people helping the old. We've even seen that where the older community was very much neglected. Younger people are coming forward to help them in this time.
Yeah,
these values I think are
we're seeing a lot of that
in brands.
So it's reflecting in brands as well, and we're seeing a lot more partnerships also happening between brands, and because of that purpose of helping. It's with that intended purpose of helping why brands are also partnering together, where they feel that if we partner together, we can actually help as a combined unit, we can sort of help. So it's not just individuals, we're seeing even brands coming together for that greater purpose. So it's really something positive to see, like you're mentioning, and everybody's looking for a little bit of positivity.
Exactly. Could you give us an example of something that you've worked on or of that's gone really well and it's sat really well with the people, the general public as well?
Well, I don't know if it's gone viral. There's something that will probably be released by tomorrow, by tonight, by tomorrow, hopefully, something that we're working on, and we're hoping it sort of makes that sort of difference as well.
Excellent.
But one of the brands that I do work with is Paisa, which is a digital payment solution. Excellent. And it's played a pivotal role during COVID-19 because they've also assessed, and part of the partnerships they made, it's one of the things that they early on approached, and we were working with them, that we have to have a purpose of how we can help. And that's the mentality that we were working with. And so all the partnerships they've created, for example, if they created a partnership with Daraaz or with Cheetah, so these kind of partnerships.
These are online e-commerce apps, right?
E-commerce apps. But what they're also doing is, instead of having to deal with in cash with a person, which actually brings you into proximity with someone and makes it unsafe, you can just pay through your mobile and simply be, not have to come in that close proximity. So they're partnering with brands like that as well, that, we know you're getting stuff delivered, but we're also making it easier for you to pay safely as well. So they're approaching it for how can we keep customers safe. So even for consumers that are going into into markets. They have QR payment solutions as well, so that you don't have to come into close proximity while you're handing over cash, or even when you're handing over cards, you have to come into proximity and somebody else has to physically touch your card. So they're approaching it from that point of view, and they're trying to activate as much as they can to try to keep consumers as safe as possible. Not even consumers, but also merchants. We realize that they're playing a pivotal role now, and it's our duty to keep them safe as well.
It's interesting, Bex, how you say that. Sorry, Assam, that how this pandemics actually allowed some of the microfinancing tech companies to leapfrog forward, which we thought these changes might take maybe half a decade or almost a decade to transition into.
Correct.
It's fast forward and leapfrogged us into that.
Correct. Like it's a matter of priority, and yeah. So it's a matter of priorities. Even consumers' mindsets have completely shifted because now everyone is thinking from a safety point of view, security point of view. Like you mentioned, that consumption habits have changed, your priorities have changed. It's more about family, it's about safety, it's about making ends meet for a lot of people as well. So that mindset has also changed. That consumer behavior has also changed, and it's about finding a purpose that can serve people, that can help people in a time like this.
Absolutely. So the intent
So
is
even,
important, and serve people is important.
Absolutely. So we've seen also brands like Telenor, for example, they removed their name off of the phone. When you normally have a phone, there's the name that pops up that tells you what telco SIM that you have.
Okay.
They changed their name and changed it to Stay Home.
Excellent.
So they literally got rid of their name. Now that's a really meaningful sort of position to take. That our brand, it means that more than my own brand, your safety matters to me. That's the kind of position they're taking, and that's the kind of thing that consumers will connect with and say, you know what, they're putting their brand on the back seat, and they're putting us in front. That you are the priority for us. We've even seen CocaCola, for example, change their logo, where they sort of expanded their logo. Like logos, brands, as we know, it's a no-go area. You do not touch your logo. You do not change it. It's the brand Bible. You never touch those things. But they sort of did that. Easy Paisa did something similar as well, because more than their logo, this is a more important message than that. It's more bigger than the brand.
Absolutely. And the empathy is coming across in these messages as well.
Of course. Absolutely. I guess it's the point about intent.
I think it's a great opportunity for brands as well to actually bond with their consumers, because in the past we saw that advertising was always a bit detached from the consumers. It was always there to serve a purpose. But now I feel it's going to be an opportunity for brands to actually be closer to their consumers and to form a relationship with their consumers in a very unique way. I think this might represent.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So exciting times, challenging times, and exciting times ahead.
It is. Absolutely.
So, just another question, Assam, which I feel is an important question that people are wondering. What is happening to the budget cuts in the advertising world now as a result of changing strategies and as a result of changing the dynamics? How has it affected the budget cuts in general in the world of advertising?
So there's definitely, we've seen a lot of budget cuts, and a lot of agencies have put policies in place where your spending has been reduced. Of course, it's natural given the uncertainty of things, the uncertain times. I recall when the lockdown or our work from home policy was even announced, it was with the assumption at that point that for about a week we're going to be working from home for about a week, and of course that week has now extended into 2-3 months. We're on the second 2.5 months almost.
Absolutely.
What day?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. You don't even know.
Is it the weekend?
What day is it anymore?
We know it's
it genuinely happened to me. I was on a work call, and I was on a work call and we're talking about something. Oh, this has to be posted and this has to go, or this we have to deliver. We have to deliver this by by Thursday, so we have 4 days. And somebody sort of responded to me, Vex, we don't have 4 days. Friday is tomorrow. And you're like, what? I thought it was. I was like, isn't it Tuesday? Isn't it Tuesday today? They're like, no, it's Thursday. In fact, it's about to be Friday. So literally all concept of time is out the window as well.
Yeah.
No idea.
Totally. It's like, oh, it's the weekend. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It used to be like, let's get ready for the cinema. Now, like, let's get ready for the bike ride. So,
Netflix for us. Yeah. Get ready for Netflix.
pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank God for Netflix. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that. So it's obviously going to change the budgets, and it's obviously going to change the spending strategy of advertising.
Of course. Yeah. So even in terms of media buying, it's changed. That strategy has also changed. Just as an example, even for in our country, radio is primarily listened to in the car. But
Yeah.
if you're at home, you're not in the car, you're not really listening to radio. So your media strategy also changes. There's a lot more television being consumed, a lot more digital content being consumed.
Absolutely.
So how do you build yourself into content? So those strategies are also changing, of course.
Yeah. And I believe there's also a factor of relevance. How do you remain relevant in this environment? Because now that people have so much time, they've probably got more time to take up certain hobbies even, or certain things that they've been putting off for a while, and take those things up. So the relevance of maybe entertainment versus education, or skills versus maybe just, soap operas, or just, I'm just giving examples out there. But the relevance, how do you stay relevant? Could you maybe shed some light on that? How can brands stay relevant?
So I think we understand the pain points. A brand can be relevant when it understands the consumer's pain points and what they're going through now, and then attempt to help.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you're attempting to help in a situation, you're automatically relevant. For example, if you look at brands, Coldplay in itself is a brand, or your bands are a brand as well. Musicians are a brand.
True.
And they stayed relevant. There's not going to be any concerts happening, so let me do a concert online. We've seen Ali Hamza sort of do a concert online, take his music online and share it with the world that way, where you can connect on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, and connect. So we understand people are starved for entertainment. They're starved that I want to go out and attend concerts. I want to do these things, but I can't. So as a brand, they're also relevant by, providing them with understanding their pain point and being there for them and trying to help.
I feel you've hit a sensitive spot with me, because you talked about bands and their relevance. And one of my favorite bands, Tool, recently launched their very latest album after almost 13 years, and it was an online release. It was a YouTube online release, and it was called Fear Inoculum as well, where you try to inoculate the fear out of yourself. And the music and the meaning in that was very meaningful, and it kind of like relates into what we're going through right now, about not fearing, and then also about the old soldier and the old warriors who are trying to stay relevant. And there's a whole track about that as well.
Interesting.
So it's very interesting how you've touched upon music and their relevance online, and becoming brands for lifestyle, and creating free live digital concerts as well. So that sounds very interesting and exciting. Would you like to attend a digital concert with us at some point?
Of course.
Absolutely.
What's always.
Your band?
What's my band? I don't have a band as yet, but just working on some music as well.
Okay, cool. I mean, what's your favorite? What do you like listening to? What are your favorite?
Oh, my band. I think it's really, really widespread. Listen to anything that's good.
Top three.
From pop to rock.
Cool.
Rock would definitely be there. Blues would be there. Bit of jazz as well.
Excellent.
Anything that's good.
Excellent. Lovely.
So I think the sun is setting on us now as we
Yes.
speak.
It's been great talking to you and picking your brain and asking
Likewise.
questions about, I think that are very relevant in this point in time. And
Super informative as
yeah,
well.
I think it's going to really help us and a lot of our audience to understand what's happening in the advertising and branding world.
The world around them.
Yeah. We'd like to have you back on the show at some point to discuss maybe music as well.
And play for us.
Yeah, hopefully.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. And loving the masks.
We'd love to do that.
It's pretty cool.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely.
Thank you for making time for us and being on our show. Thank you.
Anytime.
Have
Thank you,
a good day.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. So that was Assam Khalid, aka Vex, talking to us about branding, advertising, and its relevance in post-pandemic environment and how we move forward from here. So I hope you can and we can take something really important away from this about how intent, empathy, the meaning and the purpose of what we're trying to achieve can help us all connect individually and connect with all the things that we love as well. And the brands who are trying to communicate with us, can they strike that very important chord of intent, empathy, and understanding.
Most important.
Yeah. Do they understand us as well as they think they understand
and
us?
most importantly is the connection that they are forming with their consumers and their customers, and vice versa. So I think it's going to be a two-way relationship, and it's going to be interesting times that we'll be witnessing.
Because money's become hard to come by, and we'd only want to impart with it if we have faith and trust the brands, and we know that they have our best interest in mind. Thank you for joining us on Big Banter Questions. Those were some of the big banter questions we had. If you have some of your own questions, please write into us and share them with us. And we'll try and share them on our next program or try to create a program around that.